next speaker, as Ronnie said, is Bess. And she already told you what she does, all the good things and boards and different chair positions. But she does want you to know that as a professional nurse, she began advocacy for patients from conception to natural death since 1966. As public policy began to change on abortion, contraception, and euthanasia, she became active in the pro-life community as a nurse, family member, and concerned citizen, focusing on efforts on educating the public by directing over 12 annual conventions, hosting professionals from various disciplines, medical, philosophical, psychological, and political. Also educational, historical, and religious. It really was a very widespread. You don't know what you missed in those conventions. They all discussed the issues impacting the continuum of life. As co-chair of the Delaware Nurses for Life, she is able to provide board-approved continuing education for nurses. As a pro-life spokesperson, she's appeared on numerous media outlets and testified in the Dover legislature. 6 grandchildren make for the happiest moments and the reasons to continue promoting the culture of life. Where's the picture?
I told her.
One of the conventions, she had just had the grandbaby. And we all got to enjoy it in an 11 by 14. 12 years ago. Here's Bess.
This is the one I told you about.
I see young faces out there, and I know there are young nurses out there. And I speak for Mildred and myself and for the other members of Delaware Nurses for Life. We do need you. We've set a trail, but we need you to step up to the plate. And that's, I want you to, if anything, as you go home and think about this. We want the work of the nurses to continue, the continuing education. It is a big, vital part of the pro-life movement. And without that, it won't be there for future nurses who, they get one side of the message at the University, Del Tech, and the other schools, but often it's the secular side. It's not the side that introduces our pro-life component, the respect for life. And we desperately need you. If you have those nurses in your family, we can show you how to do this, and you can do it. And we need that follow-up. It's so vital. And I had chosen the topic of the link of premature birth to abortion. And I started that journey in 2005. I think I had the opportunity to sign up for it in 2004. So what I'm going to share with you is a culmination of that work that started about that time when the state of Delaware recognized that we've got a serious problem with infant mortality. And obviously we knew it. We're losing our babies through abortion, but we're also losing them from premature birth. And I was very concerned that what I felt like were certain components of the discussion were not going to be involved in this governor's task force, is what it amounted to, the infant consortium. And so I quickly, and I've learned these techniques from these speakers that we've had. Be the one in the first seat, be the one who's asked the questions, even though you feel awkward and your knees are shaking. You learn that. So I asked to be on the prevention committee, and now I'm going to start with telling you part of that journey. One of the reporters that I met with early on was a Hiram Retnocki, and he's the health reporter for the News Journal. And Hiram, again, this past St. Patrick's Day, he's, again, every year we bring up the subject of infant mortality. That's the number of deaths per 1,000 live births. That's from the first day of birth to 1 year. And he and I have been going on about this, and the reason I selected him is because after I had participated in the consortium and presented what Dr. Joel Green said to do, which is called a minority report. That means you give your data because nobody put it on the table. And I felt like I had been ignored. So I presented that and that's an official document to any type of huge medical meeting. Dr. Mary, I'm sure, is familiar with that. And that gave me a tool. And afterwards, I followed up with the governor, with the doctor who was the head of Dr. Rivera, the head of the Department of Public Health, and I was maintaining my ground. You did not talk about the abortion premature birth link. And you'll find out it's going to be very interesting how I was given information that what I brought to the table was of no consequence. Okay? And I think you'll find that after I share some of this with you that it was of consequence. It's still of consequence. And guess what? It's not new. We knew this back in the 50s, that abortion, before abortion was legal, we knew that it contributed to an incompetent cervix. That was the problem. And that could lead then to a premature birth. All right. The rate that he reported in the newspaper during March was that we now have an 8.4 death rate, and that is down from 9.3 deaths. And that covered the years 2001 to 2005. And their worthwhile goal now is they hope to get it down to 4.5 deaths per 1,000. And to do this, they want to decrease the racial disparity, huge racial disparity, due to the fact that the African American baby is 3 times more at risk for this infant mortality. Nationally, that level is at 6.9, the infant mortality rate. So you see where Delaware is above the infant mortality rate. And it was interesting in that news journal that a Dr. Garrett Cole Morgan, I don't know him personally, but he's been a leader in the OB-GYN field. And they've been calling this for years in their reports. There's a mystery. There's a mystery why this continues to happen. And I think you're going to be shown what I feel like is an important part of the puzzle and how we can solve the mystery that the state is trying to solve. It's well documented that premature birth, and it is one of their 5 major reasons the studies have come out with in Delaware. Yes, they are saying premature birth is one of the 5 major reasons that we have infant mortality. And you know that 1% of live births that are less than 28 weeks of gestation are going to account for 59% of all the infant deaths. So the lower the gestation, of course, the higher the infant mortality is. It's important to understand that the very, very, very premature birth baby who, if they survive, also suffer many severe brain injury associated disorders. This is from, you can look this up on Vital Statistics 2007. This should be alarming to everyone, especially the racial disparity. It should be alarming to the African American, just as the abortion rate is now newsmaking in our African American population locally. After today, I hope you'll join me in my quest to add this large piece of the puzzle to end this mystery. What it is the good part of the work that I'm going to call it DMIC for an abbreviation. It's the Delaware Health Maternal Consortium. There are a large number of medical persons that they'll meet this month of April, and feel free to look for that on their website so that you can attend and be a part of this. You know, I took this as an opportunity. Marta Pelopek left a little piece of paper behind that she was going to sign up for it. I thought, back in 0405, gee, she's not here. I better take an opportunity to be a part of this very big project that was going on in Delaware. So if you're interested and you're in PEDS, OB, and interested in this subject, come to their meetings. You have a chance in those group sessions to bring up, as I did for the first time, you were there, I think, this last time, I had the opportunity in a small group, and I was much more comfortable, and more people comfortable last year, in 10, that on those little writing pads, abortion is a link. I didn't get any scathing looks. This year, when we also exhibit, Delaware Nurses for Life exhibits at this convention. It will be at the Chase Center. I believe it's April 6th? Look that up on the website. Well, also, I now have nurses coming by the table who, and part of the exhibit is here. They work for public health, and they're now telling me, that makes sense. That makes common sense. I had a young woman who had 9 abortions. She couldn't carry the baby to term. Even one nurse, this was a nurse, public health nurse, I cried for her. She said, I was only able to have one child, and I often wondered. She was so courageous, because she admitted to me that her first pregnancy was an abortion. So she said, I often wondered if my next premature birth baby if that had anything to do with it. Very loving, kind woman. As I find all the women who discuss their abortions they're like angels to me. I just want to embrace them and hug them, because I look and I see, I can't put all my sins out there for everybody, or my bad choices, I'll put it that way. And they're so willing to embrace somebody who loves them and sees that they can use that information to the good. My concern has been, through all the reporting of these consortiums, again, there's an omission of abortion medical history. Now, there is a smattering of it on the FEMR. FEMR is also the state's quarterly, 4 times a year, they meet to discuss among the members. They have to do this legally. They examine the health histories of the babies who did die. That's FEMR. That's different than the Health Consortium, but it's all under the Department of Health and Human Services, the concern for premature birth. And they do question some history of elective termination, but it's very broad. It doesn't go, you'll see that it doesn't go down into the specifics that we need to know more about. And there's an emphasis on, part of their solution many have been very good, but part of it is a big emphasis on family planning, and that's contraceptive-based family planning. And therein lies the problem, because failed contraception, what happens to it? It ends up in abortion. We could offer them something better. We could. And that's what Cecilia's going to be talking about. And our women on low income, they are quite capable. Our African American women, our young women are quite capable of learning how their bodies work. It's not rocket science. If they can figure out these computers, and they can figure out all those little things, the texting and everything, they'll know very simply how their bodies work.